Welcome back to TYT Sports, everybody. Jason and JR Jackson here with you. So, Robert Griffin III.
Who's that?
Come on, JR. Robert Griffin III versus Andrew Luck. And this is not a 2015 edition of this. This is more the hindsight is 2020 edition of this. Because we have some great quotes from some very well-known analysts and commentators on when RG3 and Luck were not so much interchangeable before the 2012 draft, but more so, people were siding with RG3 to be the first overall pick. Let's first look at what Tony Dungy was citing back in 2012. At the time, I think he wasn't still the ex-Colts head coach at that point. In January 2012, Tony Dungy told Dan Patrick the Colts should pick Griffin. I like these mobile guys, though Dungy told Patrick, saying he thinks they supply an extra dimension. They are intriguing to me. I like Robert Griffin. I do like him over Luck. As I say, just watching him play a couple games, not studying it every throw and every play. It's tough to really disagree with them on that specific aspect of the quote because, I mean, Robert Griffin III at Baylor was that quadruple threat. Is there a quintuplet threat? He could run the ball, he get outside the pocket. He had a very accurate quarterback, and actually still his numbers accuracy.
Even on deep balls, a lot of times the guys who they say can throw and also can run, the types of throws they can throw are 10 yards and under,
right?
Or a nice little slant pattern, or something, a comeback route, something they can do. And they're not impressive throws. They're not accurate 30, 40 yards downfield. He could do that as well.
It's like there's that plus, I always think the overrated, his arm, and this is the Jay Cutler story, but he has a great arm. Oh, I mean, if you can't put the ball in the receiver's hands, then you have a great arm. You can throw far,
right?
But so can a lot of players in the NFL. So we move forward because there's some more great context for this. So let's go to the next quote. Merrill Hodge was also blown away by Griffin's arm strength and velocity, speaking of the great arm, but Luck is good. However, the football didn't come out like RG3. Hodge said that in half a heartbeat he would select Griffin over Luck if he was drafting for Indianapolis. Don't be shocked if the Colts take RG3. Football people will look at this and they will be like, holy cow. Still the cheesiest word of all time. That kid Griffin is unreal. This is all from the Indy Star. And then, of course, I can't do this without referencing the real Skip Bayless. Skip, your tweet, please. I'll say it again. Give me RG3 over Luck any day, any night, any year. I don't know what any career means, but yeah, over any career.
In your lifetime.
In your lifetime. 23,000 people retweeted that back on October 14th, 2012, which is, again, that's when, and here's where it comes into play. So in year one, in 2012, Luck versus RG3, Luck was that complete package quarterback. That's what gets thrown around him. He's a pocket presence. He's also a freak of nature in terms of his physical ability and his size. He's not the fastest quarterback in the league.
But he does run sometimes.
Well, he's not afraid to run the ball. He's almost got that Ben Roethlisberger-like size and speed where you look at the Peyton Mannings and Tom Brady's where when they take off, it's painful to watch how long it takes them to take off. Same with Eli Manning. But now, 3 years later in 2015, 13,000 total yards for Andrew Luck, 8,000 total passing yards, for RG3, 86 touchdowns to 40. RG3 a better completion percentage of 63.9, but when you look at the record, 14-21 for RG3 and 33-15 for Andrew Luck coming off an AFC Championship appearance.
Okay, so the point of this is we were all wrong about RG3 and Andrew Luck back in 2012. Yeah. That's the point of this. It's unfair. It's bullshit.
And by the way, I'm sure there was many pundits who said, "No, you idiots, you take Luck no matter what."
Yeah, I remember this debate. I felt like a lot of it was 50-50, maybe 60-40, more leaning towards RG3. But this is unfair, dude. I mean, okay, it's always. I ran track at USC, and people would say to me, "Okay, who's the fastest on the track team?" I was like, "Well, I don't run the 100, I don't run the 2, I don't run the quarter, I run hurdles." Put the Olympian that's running the 100 against me, I'm gonna kick his ass because I run hurdles. He's gonna break his leg.
And vice versa.
So yeah, so it's different. So that's one of those individual sports where you do different things. This sport, you rely on the rest of your team. If your team sucks, if you have a blindside guard or tackle that cannot protect your ass, you're gonna be injured. Who's been injured? So I mean, I'm not implicating a specific offensive lineman, but the team itself has been a little bit of a disaster after that first year RG3 had. Why did he have a good first year? Because he had a team that helped him out a little bit.
That's a great point too, because speaking of blind, incompetent linemen or blind, incompetent front officemen, Dan Snyder, that team is a train wreck. It really is. And I wonder to myself if RG3 was drafted by, just pick a team out of a hat, the Cardinals, or if even taken by the Colts. Where would he be today? Again, it's all in retrospect. We don't know. but we like to talk about these things.
Yeah,
because,
it's understood.
One of the things I looked up that I found very interesting is the Colts. It was almost deja vu for the Colts 14 years later, because in 1998, Peyton Manning was drafted first overall. Yeah. Right behind him, and this was thrown out there in a very similar vein, Ryan Leaf taken second overall. And they said, well, maybe we take Ryan Leaf. He has a little bit more of that athleticism. He's not a pure pocket passer like Peyton Manning was. And they, of course, decided to take Peyton Manning, who went on to bring 11 of 13 Colts seasons of double-digit wins, and obviously a lot of tough playoff losses, but a Super Bowl, and you can't argue with that being a bad decision. Peyton Manning did wonders for that team.
So actually, there was this was again, that was right when I was ending high school. So I had a friend in high school who was like he was like co-captain basketball guy, but I was the one who was like the go get it guy. He was the thinker guy who was like, well, let's wait and think about this. I was like, no, let's just shoot. So like we made good co-captains. And I remember he told me there was this test that was run, like a capacity test run on Peyton Manning and Ryan Leaf that year. And then it wasn't highly touted. No one talked about it. But it basically said, from assessing Ryan Leaf, he's going to be a mental disaster. And Peyton Manning is the guy you choose because of that. And it was after it was starting to fall apart, he was saying there was this test they ran. I was like, I never heard of this test. But apparently it was, when it comes to deeming who's going to be more successful, that test obviously was right.
Was right for that draft, yeah, for sure.
I mean, because we saw the destruction of Ryan Leaf. This particular instance with RG3 is different. Obviously, he's having physical issues. That knee keeps crumbling.
Right, and maybe the team has mental issues. That's like I don't try to target Redskins fans. I'm just targeting your owner, as we've mentioned many times on this platform. So, real quick, 2012 draft, third pick, Trent Richardson, now being labeled the worst running back of all time, according to headlines. I don't know if he's the worst running back of all time. He's like the Razzie Award for, here you go, you are the absolute worst.
Or the worst running back drafted in the top 5 in the recent memory?
He could be in. I mean, I don't know where Trent Richardson lies, because his career is going to fizzle out. He got cut from his team. Who knows if he's going to play in the NFL again? But if he does, I want to make the comparison to Ron Dane was a Heisman winner and did not translate well into the NFL. Granted, he wasn't Trent Richardson bad, but he did find some what's the word I'm looking for? Like, not a resurgence of life. Like 6 years into his career.
He had a mini comeback, man.
He had a mini comeback, and he was still valuable to a certain extent.
Totally was.
I don't think Trent Richardson should be completely out of a job. He should sign somewhere. He might be able to turn something around, or at least how hard would it be to get from worst of all time to just not being the worst of all time?
Yeah, I guess one of those points now that you have to see what it is that's happening wrong. Again, it's a team sport, so whatever it is that's missing from what if you've been in situations where you just had no opportunities, and then you find one, if your mindset is still right to take it. Sometimes you end up getting discouraged and you're falling apart.
That's very true.
I don't know what is actually happening.
Very true. But we finished, JR, with commercials. Because the Andrew Luck versus RG3 debate cannot come full circle. And there was no Peyton Manning commercial versus Ryan Leaf commercial that we could have found. So there's many Peyton Manning ones. I'll try to look for some Ryan Leaf ones for you next time. But Subway took RG3.
Yeah.
Subway commercial, roll tape.
Whose Subway is better?
My way is a foot-long turkey on flatbread with spinach, tomatoes, and pickles.
And my way is an oven-roasted chicken with spinach, tomatoes, and jalapeno.
Mine helps me outrun big guys like you.
Mine helps me dominate so I can get 4 sacks against guys like you. It doesn't matter because I got 4 sacks.
Oh, no, you didn't.
There's no challenge. You're both right.
Subway protein pack subs power athletes to dominate in whatever they do.
Subway.
The official training restaurant of Robert Griffin III.
Justin Tuck.
And athletes everywhere.
I'm not eating Subway.
Is that Jay Glazer, right?
Yeah, it was.
So I remember when those commercials were running, and my question always was, why the fuck is Jay Glazer in these commercials?
Like
Subway, the official restaurant for athletes, and then this guy who obviously isn't one. Why is he there? Sorry. I always thought that.
What do you have against Subway?
No, it's Jay Glazer. And I'm nothing against Jay Glazer.
Unbelievable. We have a Subway hater.
But like,
what are you,
of athletes. Look at me, and then fat-ass Jay Glazer doesn't do anything. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm done. I'm done with that rant. I just never got why he was on those commercials.
You heard it here first.
You can have him be your spokesman for Subway, but not on the athlete one, because he talks about athletes. Come on, dude.
No, you can keep going. If you have any other things you need to get out of
the worst part is he's not even that fat. He's just a normal-sized guy. He's just not an athlete.
Not an athlete. But that did not beat, of course, Andrew Luck's DirecTV commercial, which we will fare you well with, I should say.
Hi, I'm Andrew Luck, and I have DirecTV. And I'm out-of-control beard Andrew Luck, and I have cable. Only NFL Sunday Ticket has the Fantasy Zone channel. It's all things fantasy, all in one place. With cable, I have to watch the game here and get fantasy stats here. Fantasy Zone takes you player to player live, so you see everything as it happens. I happen to not be wearing a shirt. Don't be like this me. Get NFL...
They've done some nice spin-offs of the Rob Lowe ones. I enjoy these.
I like Arts and Crafts Tony Romo.
The best is Petite Randy Moss.
Oh, that was a good one too. All right, like, favorite, subscribe, leave all your comments in the comment section below. If you're gonna take a time machine back to 2012, would you have drafted RG3 still? I mean, you could. There's an argument for it. I'm not trying to test it, but I'd rather have Andrew Luck, and I think I was on the Andrew Luck train back in 2012.
Probably was. I think
Stanford. So. I loved watching.
I heard a good amount of people
Stanford.
saying that. Yeah. I hated watching him at Stanford. He beat us.
Oh, this poor soul. This UCLA Pac-12 fan can't take it.
This guy.
Your USC Trojans look good this year. They should look good going into the college football season. Again, like, favorite, subscribe, do everything you need to. Comment section below.